I'm in tears. That guy that I went out with that talked about his ex the whole time on our date still was conversing with me over text. Talked to him all day today about our family, different questions like that, just really trying to get to know me, which I was like, okay. And he apologized for talking about his ex. I will note that. But then he says to me, you're too old to have kids, and you apparently don't have what men need. You apparently don't have what men want and men need because of how old I am. And I said, what the? And he said, no, really, what do you bring to the table? A lot, actually. I'm funny. I'm talented. I have a great career. I have a lot to offer, actually. And I shouldn't have to prove it.
Not fair.
You say that so often. Wonder what your basis for comparison is.
Actually, there, Colleen, if you're going into a relationship, you actually do have to prove what you bring to the table. Just like men have to prove what they bring to you. Men have to prove that they have income stability. Men have to prove that they can protect and provide. Men have to bring assets. So in him asking you what you bring to the table, it's a justifiable question. And you should actually answer that if you're looking for a serious relationship. Now, he said because of your age, you don't have anything that men want. Well, if he was referring to actually having kids, he was probably right there. But let's see the other things. You said that what you have to bring to the table is that you're funny, you're talented, and you have a great career. Okay, how exactly is this what men want? This is what this guy meant by that. You don't know what men want. Everything you just said is something that women like. Women like a guy who's funny. Women like a man who's talented. And women like a man with a great career. Attraction between men and women are not the same. Men are not attracted to the same things. What makes you think that a man is interested in your career? What makes you think he's interested in you cracking a joke? And whatever talent you have, yada, yada, yada. You didn't mention at any time that you would take care of the home. You would be submissive. You'd be loving, sympathetic to his needs, supportive, keep the house spotless, be there to comfort him when he comes home from work. You didn't mention any of that. But that's all right. In your opinion, it looks like a simple joke. More than quantifies for all that crap. Right there, sweetheart? Before we move on, I want to bring attention that 70% of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. Come on, fam. You've seen my logo on other channels, and you're already here. Please hit that subscribe button and support the channel. It really helps out. Moving on.
So I'm 37, don't have any kids. I'm not married. I don't have a husband. I'm not even in a relationship. And a lot of times people look at me and they're like, oh, she must be so lonely, or you must be so lonely. And the truth is I'm not. I'm not. I have my family that I love so much. They're so close to me. They mean so much to me. I have my friends that are like, my sisters. I love them so dearly. And, I have my career that I'm so fulfilled by. And I decided to come up to Canada for the weekends and come on guys, look at this view. That's the view from my hotel room. I'm a solo traveler. I go pretty much everywhere alone if I'm not with my girls, and highly recommend. When it's your time, it's your time. Don't rush things. Enjoy life as it is. Enjoy life by yourself. Learn to make yourself happy. When it's your time, it's your time.
Ho, ho! Fiction can be fun.
Let me let this queen on a secret that I think a lot of these women who make these videos don't know. You see, sister, people who are actually happy being alone and all that don't need to make a video, upload it, and try to prove to the world that they are happy. They just are happy on their own. All right, that's number one. And number two, your justification for being single and not having kids is a view out of a hotel room in Canada. That's the thing that balances the scales? Seriously? I've always said this. Women end up lonely and men end up alone. There's a difference. Men, for the most part, can handle loneliness better than women. Why do I say this? For the simple fact that men are the ones who end up alone most of the time between relationships. They've basically grown thicker skin. What is my other evidence, you ask? Well, one-to-one comparison. How many videos do you see of men out there saying, oh, I'm 37 and childless and single, and check out this view, I'm awesome on my own? There are a lot more women doing this, but that's okay, sister. I'm pretty sure that the fact that you travel everywhere assures you that your womb is just a needless accessory, right? Moving on.
As a newly single mother, that might potentially be entering the dating field in her 40s, here's a list of 5 things I will not be doing. Number 1, bringing a man around my kids anytime soon. I'll be honest with you, that is my biggest concern. Probably one of the main reasons why I stayed in a really toxic relationship was because the person I was in a relationship with is my baby's dad, all my kids' dad. And they love him. And the idea of me being out there again and potentially opening them up to meeting somebody new is scary. And you hear a lot of horror stories. And I'm praying about that. We will have to be damn near engaged. And I probably will be conducting all kinds of checks and make sure this person is the one before I even introduce them to my kids. And here's the thing, I don't even know where I'm going to have time for that. You got to have time to be able to do that. And that's one thing I don't have is time. So that's number one. Number two, I'm not going to be dating somebody that doesn't have their own place to live. Y'all know how I feel about that. If a man cannot take care of himself, he is not ready for a relationship. Especially if we're in our 40s.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
This post-wall single mother who says that she's going to return into the dating market is putting up some rules. Okay, her first rule is not to bring the new guy around the kids. I 100% agree on that one. And that goes both ways, ladies, because let's be honest, the guy isn't dating you hoping to one day meet your kids. He probably doesn't want anything to do with your children. But then again, single mothers will come out and say, hey, this is a package deal. You have to accept my kids with me. And this is true. That's why it's so difficult for single mothers in the modern dating market, because a lot of men see the package, they just don't see the deal. Her second point about not dating a man who doesn't own his own place. Okay, ladies, that sounds super logical, super straightforward. Unfortunately, that falls apart. Why do I say that? It's because women don't date with logic. You date with emotions. And time again, we've seen that women will leave their stable husbands who does have a home, who does take care of them, for Chad/Tyrone, who's got the sports car, who's living off of other women, who's about to get evicted from his apartment, but he talks smooth and he throws that anaconda around with skill. Men already know. Yeah, that's a rule for a beta, not for an alpha. Nothing against her, because I'm pretty sure she is completely convinced that she's going to follow these rules to the T. But as I said before, loneliness affects women a lot more than it affects men. And the longer she goes without somebody, the more those rules are going to start transitioning into guidelines. But let's hear the rest of her points.
Number 3, I will not be making a whole lot of changes to myself to appeal to somebody. You either like me or you don't. I realize I am not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. And just because I'm not one person's cup of tea doesn't mean I'm not a good cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people love Indian food, some people hate Indian food. Doesn't mean Indian food's good or bad. It just means it's in the eye of the beholder. At this age, I am who I am. You want me or you don't. Number 4, I am not going to be entertaining somebody who is a perpetual victim in all the relationships he's ever had. Here's the truth. At the end of the day, you're the common denominator. If you picked wrong, if you did things, we're human, but you got to own it. Not everybody is the villain and you were the victim. I can't do victims. I can't. I have to have somebody in my life that takes accountability for who and what they are. Last but not least, number 5, I will not fight for no man. If a man puts me in a position where I have to fight for his attention with another female, he is not the one for me. I'm not about to waste one breath, and I mean one breath, on a man that is considering me versus someone else. I'll help you pick, sir. Pick her, because I'm not the one.
Number 3, she's not going to change. She is her own cup of tea. But let me guess, the guy has to change for you, right, sister? He's got to accommodate for your package deal, but you're not going to accommodate to him. This is not going to last too long, honey. If you're serious about getting a relationship, even at that age, things have to change. You're right. You're not perfect, and not everybody's going to like your cup of tea, but you know what happens with teacups that nobody likes? They get poured down the drain and then thrown in the trash. So you may want to think about that, because it sounds like you want Mr. Perfect, but you yourself are highly imperfect. Number 4, the perpetual victim. Of course you don't want to put up with a guy who's a perpetual victim, because that's your role, right? I mean, you did start this video saying that you were in a toxic relationship. Although women love to use that word toxic like it's malleable. Anything can be toxic. Even if he tells you, hey, don't spend the money from our savings, that's toxic. I'm not saying she did that. I'm just saying that's an example of what some women would consider toxic. Number 5, you're not going to fight for no man. Again, You're saying that now, but women go on emotions. This is why they always choose the bad boys and the guys who are problematic, because they think it's exciting. And yes, women do fight for men. Why? Because I've said this before. Women have to have an endorsement to a man. You are not going to go with a guy that no other woman wants. Who are you trying to kid here, queen? You want the guy that other women want. Why? Because he has the attractive qualities. So what, every time you go for a guy that you like, and just because another woman's eyeing him, no, you go that way. You keep going. I want the guy who's attractive, who's got all these traits, to come to me. The single mom in her 40s, who's imperfect. Sure, that's going to happen. And a wealthy man is going to pay top dollar for a beat-up 1977 Ford Pinto with 300K miles on it. Moving on.
Dating in 2025 is all about decentering the male's experience if you're looking for a heterosexual relationship, and centering your experience when you're on the date with them. So that means we're more concerned with the question, do I like him rather than does he like me? I'll be honest, I am actually a fun date because I'm not thinking about this all the time. I'm giving half of my attention to just going with the flow and enjoying whatever the chemistry is or lack of chemistry. And if there's a lack, then I'm just trying to make up for it. But the other 50% of the time, I'm clocking things. I'm paying attention to what's going on. That's not my whole personality here. Let's be intelligent women with discernment and allow ourselves to have an internal experience while we're on a date that isn't centered around the person liking us or having fun or us having to be fun, because we're not going to be pick-me girls. I don't know anything about you that commented this, Erica, so I don't want to project onto you, but comments of this kind of nature generally tell me a lot about a person and how they show up when they're dating. And we really need to decenter men when we're having a date with someone, because actually we're going to be with this person for X number of years, hopefully, if it's a long-term relationship.
She's going to sink, Captain.
But she can't sink. She's unsinkable.
She can't float.
Wow, this queen totally proved that she is a total blast on a date. I mean, she's got fun coming out the pores. Okay, decentralized men when you go on a date. So all you're saying is what men have already figured out about most women. You want everything to be about you, and no one else but you, because you're the main star in your story. Everything revolves about what you feel. Ladies, I have to say, if you are going to take this attitude to the level this woman says, that it's all about you, then why don't you plan the date? Why don't you do everything? If you want to decentralize men from the dates, then plan them yourself. But I bet you this queen won't do that. How can you claim to be the fun one when you're the one who's not planning anything? You are not the conductor, you're a passenger on the date. So to decentralize the conductor would be basically to crash. I think the comment that she was talking about, which reads, "Wow, you sound like a fun date," was extremely accurate on the sarcasm there. Here's a hint, Colleen. Just because you say you're fun doesn't make it true. Maybe instead of trying to convince others, why don't you just accept reality that you are not the center of the story? I'm not saying that women cannot be fun. I'm just saying that when you have this attitude of obviously you being number one and everybody else is just there for the privilege of being in your company, that brings down a date very heavily. I'm pretty sure most ladies already know this, but for argument's sake, I'm just going to say it. Not all dates are fun, and the dates that aren't fun aren't always because of the guy.
And we've got to be happy in our own skin around that person. We're not trying to be fun. We're not trying to be attractive. We're not trying to do all those things. We are just there to represent who we really are and to enjoy whatever connection is there in whatever form it takes. And if there isn't one, then just to let there be awkward silence, whatever that looks like. And to also have an intelligent discernment running in the background so that we can make smart decisions for ourselves that aren't based on, the patriarchy set of rules that tells us we need to be a certain type of person. We need to show up in a certain way in order to get the guy so that we feel safe, so that we feel, secure in society. And this might sound like a whole lot of codswallop if you don't know what I'm talking about. Most women that are socialized in this kind of construct that center men when they're dating don't even realize they do it. So cool, scroll on. But I'm going to continue talking about my experiences with dating where I am decentering their experience because they're the ones that are responsible for that, right? The only thing I need to do is show up as myself and to take responsibility for my internal experience and use that data to know whether this person is right for me.
So let me get this straight. You're only responsibility is to show up at a date and just be responsible for your own field. So you're basically saying that you're not going to put anything into the date. You're just going to be there on the receiving end of everything. Okay, and since when did the patriarchy set up a system for women to attract men? I mean, you said it yourself, you don't want to be funny and attractive all the time, you just want the guy. It sounds to me that somebody who says stuff like that is just kind of a lazy dater. It sounds like they're not willing to put in the effort to be the fun person to be around. They just want to sit there and basically act like the empress. Hey, bring me everything. Entertain me. And to be honest with you, Queen, there are women that can pull this off. I'm not saying that they're not, but those women are highly attractive. We're talking about the top 5% of attractive women can actually do this. The Kardashians are a good example, but throughout history, there have been other examples. I mean, Linda Carter, Suzanne Summers, Angelina Jolie in her day. The key takeaway here is that none of those women are you. You are not at that level. You can't act like you are. Just because you think it doesn't make it real. Now, I do give it to you. There are plenty of simps out there that will take you out on a date, but something tells me they don't think that they're dating Megan Fox when they're out with you.
Now that's a lot of damage.
I'm just saying, if you enjoy this audit, click on the video in the end screen for more content. If you would like to support the channel, please follow the link in the description to donate to our beer fund, or like, subscribe, and share this video on other social media platforms. If you agree or disagree with anything about this audit, please let us know in the comments. I'm going to leave this audit right here. I'll see all of you in the next episode.